To understand the mystery of the Moonstone, we have to start long before the theft in Yorkshire. We have to go back to 1799, to the storming of Seringapatam in India. During the chaos of the battle, a British officer named John Herncastle takes something that doesn't belong to him, a sacred yellow diamond, a gem known to the local people as the Moonstone. As he carries the treasure away, a dying Indian officer curses him and his entire lineage. He predicts that the stone will bring nothing but misery and ruin to those who possess it. It is a heavy, spiritual weight that follows the Herncastle family across the ocean, waiting for the right moment to strike. Fast forward to 1850. The setting shifts to the quiet, manicured landscape of a Yorkshire estate owned by the Verinder family. The story is framed through the eyes of Gabriel Betteredge, the loyal, long-serving house-steward. He's the kind of man who has seen generations of Verinders come and go, and he provides us with a sense of stability and order. But that order is about to be shattered. The centerpiece of the Verinder household is a magnificent Indian cabinet, and inside it sits the Moonstone, a gift to the young heiress, Rachel Verinder, from her late uncle, Colonel Herncastle. On the night of Rachel's birthday, the unthinkable happens. The diamond vanishes. The circumstances of the theft are deeply unsettling. The house is locked tight, the dogs were unleashed, and yet they didn't bark at anyone, and there's a strange, unexplained smear of paint left on a door. It's a locked room mystery that defies immediate logic. As the household descends into panic and suspicion, we meet Sergeant Cuff. He isn't your typical local constable, he's a professional detective, a bit eccentric and somewhat melancholy. But he has a mind for physical evidence. While everyone else is looking for motives and dramatic confessions, Cuff is looking at a paint-stained nightgown. He's a man who believes that the truth is hidden in the small, overlooked details of the material world. As the investigation unfolds, the web of suspects begins to tighten around several key figures. There is Rosanna Spearman, a housemaid who is driven by an obsessive, unrequited love for Franklin Blake, a well-travelled gentleman and Rachel's primary romantic interest. Rosanna is a tragic figure caught in a social position that leaves her with very little agency. When a piece of evidence, the stained nightgown, is found discarded in the shivering sand, a treacherous patch of quicksand, all eyes turn toward her. The suspicion is overwhelming, and the pressure eventually leads Rosanna to a tragic end, making her one of the most heartbreaking figures in the story. But the truth is far more layered than a simple case of a maid stealing a gem. The investigation takes a sharp, disorienting turn when Franklin Blake discovers a truth that shatters his own sense of self. It turns out that on the night of the theft, Franklin had been drugged with laudanum, an opium tincture which left him in a trance-like sleepwalking state. While wandering the house in this drug-induced haze, he actually took the diamond himself. He didn't even know he was doing it. He was a thief who had no memory of his crime. In his sleepwalking state, Franklin had handed the diamond to Godfrey Ablewhite. Now, Godfrey is perhaps the most dangerous kind of character in a Victorian novel, The Perfect Gentleman. He is a charming, seemingly saintly philanthropist, the man everyone expects to be Rachel's husband. But Godfrey is a fraud. He's been embezzling money to cover massive debts and was looking at Rachel's vast inheritance as his only way out. He saw the unconscious Franklin hand him the stone and saw an opportunity to settle his debts by cutting the diamond into smaller, untraceable pieces in Amsterdam. The mystery moves from the quiet halls of Yorkshire to the dark streets of London. The investigation reaches a fever pitch when Godfrey Ablewhite is found dead in a London inn, disguised as a dark-skinned sailor. It's a gruesome discovery that links the domestic theft to a much larger, more violent conspiracy. The people who killed Godfrey weren't common criminals. They were the descendants of the original guardians of the Moonstone from India. They had been tracking the gem across the world, waiting for the right moment to reclaim it for their deity, Vishnu. They didn't care about English law or the social standing of the Verinder family, they only cared about the sacred stone. In the end, the diamond isn't recovered by the police, nor is it kept as a trophy by the Verinders. The Indian conspirators successfully complete their mission. They take the Moonstone back to its rightful place, returning it to its sacred shrine in India, where it rests once more on the forehead of a deity. The cycle of greed, theft, and violence that began in 1799 is finally broken. When we look back at the story, it's easy to see why Wilkie Collins became such a foundational figure in detective fiction. Before this, mysteries were often more about puzzles or supernatural occurrences. With Sergeant Cuff, Collins gave us the professional investigator, the man who relies on method, forensics, and the cold, hard facts of physical evidence. He moved the mystery out of the realm of the how and into the realm of the who and the why. But beneath the mechanics of the crime, there is a profound exploration of the gap between appearance and reality. This is the heartbeat of the novel. We see it in Godfrey Abel White, whose outward saintliness masks a hollow, predatory core. We see it in Franklin Blake, who appears to be a man of perfect character, but is actually the unwitting perpetrator of the crime. Even Rachel Verinder plays a role in this, her silence and her perceived judgment of Franklin, caused by what she thought she saw through a keyhole, create a wall of misunderstanding that nearly destroys the man she loves. The tragedy of the book is often found in what people think they know versus what is actually happening in the shadows. There is also a significant subtext regarding the British Empire. The Moonstone is a symbol of the spoils of colonialism. It is a piece of sacred heritage that has been uprooted from its home and turned into a mere commodity for English social climbing and debt settling. By having the stone returned to India through a violent, non-English resolution, Collins suggests a spiritual reclamation that transcends the legal systems of the British Empire. It implies that there is a moral order to the universe that exists independently of the laws of men. The novel also touches on the constraints placed upon women in the Victorian era. Rosanna Spearman and Rachel Verinder represent two different sides of the same coin. Rosanna is a woman with intense passions and a desperate need for security. But because of her class and her gender, she has no way to express them or protect herself. Rachel, on the other hand, has wealth and status, but she is trapped by the social requirement of silence and the inability to communicate her feelings. Their inability to speak their truths directly often drives the plot into much more complicated and often more tragic directions. It's also worth noting the role of perception and memory. The entire plot hinges on the fallibility of human observation. The mystery isn't just about a stolen object, it's about the unreliable nature of what we see and remember. The use of drugs like laudanum serves as a literal device to distort reality, but it also functions as a metaphor for how easily the truth can be obscured by emotion, social expectation, or even a simple misunderstanding. In many ways, the resolution of the Moonstone is a rare thing in a genre that usually focuses on the restoration of social order. Usually, in a detective story, the criminal is caught, the law is upheld, and things return to exactly how they were before the crime occurred. But in the Moonstone, the order that is restored isn't the English social order. The diamond is gone, the perfect gentleman is dead, and the characters are left to pick up the pieces of their lives, forever changed by the secrets they've uncovered. The story ends with a sense of cosmic balance. The stone returns to the deity, the curse is lifted, and the human characters are left to deal with the consequences of their own greed and their own perceptions. It's a conclusion that feels much larger than a simple crime story. It feels like the closing of a chapter of history. So, when we think about the Moonstone, we shouldn't just think of it as a blueprint for the modern wood unit. We should see it as a complex study of how much of our lives is shaped by the things we cannot see, the secrets we keep, the things we misinterpret, and the heavy weight of history that follows us, even when we think we've left it behind.